5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, hello, bienvenue, willkommen, konnichiwa, marbaha. It's time for the Amish Inquisition yet again. Episode 187 on Sunday, the 6th of June. I'm Amish Phil.
I'm Amish Ben.
And I'm Amish Matt.
And tonight's very special guest is Lebanon's answer to Professor Brian Cox. It's astrophysicist Dr. Cyrine Nehme. How are we, Cyrine?
Hello, how are you? And it is marhaba.
Marhaba.
Yes, this is it. Hello.
One more time.
Marhaba.
Marhaba.
Yes, this is it.
Comme ci, comme ça.
Comme ci, comme ça. You know, I'm French also.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Lebanon's sort of quite a multicultural, multilingual country, isn't it?
Absolutely. Let me just tell you the Lebanese typical sentence. Marhaba, kifak, how are you, ça va? So in one sentence, a Lebanese will speak 3 languages. And this is really not a show off, just a typical Lebanese hello.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a real sort of melting pot. I guess that comes from the history of the area, I guess, as well. Is that where the French comes in? Is it from colonial history?
Not just the French and the English also, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, Turkish, English, French. And we never really had this, well, maybe a lot of Lebanese will hate me tonight, but this is the history. And I like to stating facts as I am scientist. We never had really a Lebanese identity. We once had definitions, identity, but hey, we are not Phoenicians anymore. We've been like, you know, a lot. And they really had a lot of children with a lot of those, you know, colonial things.
Yeah, it's cool. I must confess my sort of ignorance when it comes to Lebanon. I think it seems to be that us in Western Europe and in the United States, we rarely hear about Lebanon unless it's because something bad has happened.
Of course, and it's not because of your faults. Actually, we are to blame because we have to put this good image of Lebanon, and because of what's happening with Palestine and Israel. It's always we are to blame, and we are notified when there is a problem, and it's for us Lebanese and to talk about the culture, and you are not to blame. And you know. People, I noticed that for the last two years, sorry to talk about that, people love the fear culture. And this is why the media will talk always not about the success. They will always talk about the death, about the fear, about the pandemic, about the bug, and they will never talk about something funny, because funny will not sell. Well, sex sells, but death, and things like trauma, tears will sell more. So this is why you will hear about Lebanon when it is, I think that you heard about this 4th of August more than Elisab, or more than what you heard about Carlos Ghosn. I think when he left in a dramatic way, Carlos Ghosn, you know, when he left. No, you didn't heard about him?
Yeah. Yeah, the guy, the Toyota, was it Toyota?
Yes, exactly. When he left, you haven't heard about him when he was a successful Lebanese man, French Lebanese man, when he was doing successful things. But when you heard about him when he did very things, you know, trauma things. So
Yeah.
people love fear, trauma, tears, because it sells. So
Yeah.
this is why
Yeah.
you think about Lebanon. Yeah.
If it bleeds, it leads, is what we say in the media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We should say right at the beginning, big thanks to Robbie from Out of the Blank podcast, because he helped us set all this up.
I really, if you give me just 1 minute, I'm a big fan of Robbie. He is really a friend. A brother. I never met him. And this is what is a positive thing about social media. And I really wanted to invite him to Lebanon, but with the bug thing, we cannot. I want to tell him that I love him like my third brother, and I really love him. I want to support him, and I want to work with him. And I did 3 podcasts with him, and I will always discuss with him. And I hope that with you also, we will collaborate more and more. He is a really beautiful soul, and he's free.
You've been on 3 times?
Yeah.
Right, so we're tying. I've been on 3 times, so I need to be on next, Robbie. I want to beat Dr. Sy.
No, it's not a competition. We can be together.
I know. I'm only joking.
Yeah, he is a beautiful soul. He is such a curious man. He is a free, and we are missing such free discussions, free speech, and yeah.
Yeah. I'll sort the camera out in a minute.
It's fine.
Why don't you start by telling us a bit about your background and sort of your professional background and your career and how you've got to where you are now?
Okay. I'm not comfortable about talking about myself. I'm sorry, because I mixed language when I speak Spanish, Arabic, French, and English. So I really apologize with my English. Okay. So I hope that you will understand me.
Yeah.
Well, I was born in a small village in the mountain, Deir al-Amar. And I first observed Saturn. I was 8 in a really, it was the war in Lebanon. And I observed Saturn with my father and a doctor. He is my gynecolog, and he is always our friend. And at 8, I was having arak. It's an alcohol, and it was forbidden at 8. But in the war, and I wanted to be free as Saturn. It was beautiful, and really, really, I love this planet. And I wanted to understand why and what is going on. And that time, really, like a lot of time, like 30 years ago. In Lebanon, we didn't have any formation of astrophysics, and they used to confuse astrophysics and astrology. I'm serious. And when I told my father that at 8 I wanted to do astrophysics, my father told me whatever makes you happy. And he used to travel a lot. He started to bring with Science et Vie. Science et Vie, I don't know if you know, this is a French magazine about science. And I was focused to understand what is happening out there. I wanted to be free like Saturn. And this is how I did my baccalaureate, and I went to France. I did my PhD. I did my master's at the beginning, and I did my PhD. I did my postdoc. I left at 15. I had 15. I left Lebanon, and I did my PhD. I did my master's, PhD, and my postdocs. I went to Oxford, and I went to England. I went to Edinburgh. This is how I just drink single malt, and I cannot drink blended whiskey. And then I went to France a lot, to Europe. I did a lot. I studied Venus, Mars, and then I went to my point. Really, from coming from a village from Lebanon, where we had really problems, I went to NASA. I worked on James Webb Space Telescope, and for me, I was really pretty ready to die. With the moment when I put in NASA Goddard, I was really ready to die. And then I really thank friends. I was lucky, and it was the hazard, because I went to France and they trust me and they believed in me and they went me to represent France and Europe in the NASA Goddard. And we did the testing for the James Webb Space Telescope that will be sent in October. If you want, we will talk about that. And it's the biggest thing that will be sent in the space. And then I came back. Then I decided to come back to Lebanon. I said that I suffered. I went very young to be, in foreign countries. I suffered a lot. I said that with other 3 colleagues, we went back to Lebanon. We did the masters in astrophysics. We did an observatory. We were going to do a second observatory. We sent more than 20 students. They did their astrophysics PhD, and they are brilliant. I don't know what we did in a small country. What we did was successful. But now, with all the problem, the program is closing, and I am jobless. So if someone is hearing me, I'm searching for a job. And this is I work on the interstellar medium. I work with really great people, with Marc Sauvage, with the CEA, with François Boulanger, Guillaume Pinot-Desforêts, and I work on the exoplanets with James Webb Space Telescope. So this is, in 5 minutes, I think, my life.
Yeah, this is something I'd not heard about, the James Webb Telescope. So it's going to be launched in October, is that right?
31st of October, 2021.
And usually, from what I gather, when they launch a probe or a telescope, it usually has a certain sort of mission objective. What's sort of the plan for the James Webb? Is it going to be doing specific things, or is it going to be able to do lots of different things?
Well, listen, with the James Webb, it's a long love and hate story, because, it started in 2007. It cost a lot of money, and we were really afraid that it would be stopped. But it's going to be launched. And that Hubble space was really programmed to just stay like 7 or 8 years, and it has been like 30 years, and now it's about time to be retired. And with a 2.4 meter diameters mirror, Hubble Space Telescope did miracles.
Yeah.
So imagine, and it is just here. The Hubble Space Telescope is just about 500 kilometers. It's just our neighbor, Right. Imagine all of you that we are going to send a monster, a mirror of 6.5 meter diameters, okay, in an L2 Lagrangian point, means that it is 1.3 million kilometers. So it is 3.5 or 4 more or menos or minus the distance of the moon to observe. So can you imagine? And if Hubble just did miracles, so what are we going to see? And with more sensitivity, with more resolution, and with bigger mirror.
Yeah.
So it is a big challenge. What are we going to observe? We are not going to observe and to discuss with aliens. Okay, this is
really.
So well, I will not tell you that I'm your father or I'm your mother. No. So yeah, but we are going to we are having a lot of questions about the first lights after, you know, the dark area in the Big Bang. Until now, I don't know if you, our viewers and our listeners are aware about that. There is, when we observe in light, it's like studying archaeology of space.
Yeah.
You know, every astrophysicist can be a very good archaeologist.
Yeah.
So because, you know, the light is traveling at a very constant speed of light. So it's c. So we're not talking about you know, how mocking the light with the gravity. If you want, we talk about it, about the black holes, we talk about them later, but I'm talking about the real speed of light, okay? So if there is a galaxy about like 13 billion years, and if we are having its light, so we are just studying the archaeology light created like 13 billion years. So we are being able with the James Webb to study the light after 400,000 years after the explosion of the Big Bang. And this was not able.
So
we
this
were not able.
400,000 years sounds a long time, but in the context of the creation of the universe, this is like it's almost like the split second after the Big Bang.
It is like 0.0001 second if we take a week, the 13.8 billion years of the creation of,
Wow.
Yeah. And moreover, because the James Webb Space Telescope is not like the Hubble Space Telescope, it is made to be more sensitive on the infrared. It is, I was just writing some notes because I am so very neat on the numbers, even if it is okay if I just do some errors. It's between 0.6 and 28.3 micrometer. It's in the infrared and near infrared. So it is just observing the cold universe. And let me just, if you allow me, to tell you about this cold universe. At the beginning, we were just observing the visible, and then we observed the ultraviolet, and then we observed the infrared, and then we observed the X-rays and the explosions. I have colleagues who also are astrophysicists who think that those who are observing the explosions of supernova, the X-rays, the gamma rays, they think that you infrared people, you are just not so energetic enough. You don't count. But believe me, there is a lot of hidden universe. When we discovered the infrared, when we developed the detector, we really discovered a hidden universe that it was really forbidden to us to talk about, to think about. So as if we discovered a whole new window of the universe. So when we observe the universe in the infrared, we also open a window to observe a whole new universe that we didn't account on. Right. We was not counting, as if you are, for example, if you are you went to the shop, you have two bags, one in the visible and one in the infrared. So you count your mass, you are like 100 pounds, but no, but you are not counting the infrared because you are 200 pounds when you have your detector. So you are having all your calculation wrong. Also, we are going to do with the James Webb Space Telescope the redshift.
Right. What's this mean? Yeah, redshift.
Okay. So
I remember something vaguely from GCSE physics.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. No, I can't remember anything.
Okay. So, well, if I can, let me just start by the normal Doppler, like this, the people who are following you and who are listening to us will just start with the easy, and I go with the difficult part. So if you are listening to someone who is putting a high music, what is the music that you like? Let me just hear Ben. Ben, what is the kind of music that you like?
Oh, I like classic rock, so Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah, okay. I dance rock also. Okay, so let us have, for example, on a car that someone is putting a very high music with a really good music setup, and he is passing with a classic rock near to you, and you are an observer, and you are steady still. Okay, so with this music surround, so he is passing or she is passing, because I can do this also, and with an open, with an open car, ooh, yeah. So you have those frequency that they are the wavelengths when she is passing with the car, they will be really compressed because the wavelength is a pressure. Okay, so this is the Doppler effect. When the wavelength is compressed, we say that the color of the wavelength is going to the blue. When the wavelength, when she will go away, so as if we have a rope, so the rope, the wavelength will be really loose and it will be bigger, so we are going to the red. So it is comparable, but it is not the same, because we have the redshift for the galaxy, for the universe. Now imagine a balloon. We are on the balloon. I will have my friend who is drinking the beer. I draw his face on the balloon. So I draw his face on the balloon and birthday balloon, and I blow my, let us have a helium balloon, and I draw his face on the helium balloon. So the helium balloon will expand, and the redshift will be that his face, his eyes will expand with the space. So the universe, so he will have a distorted face, I'm sorry, but so the space will expand, like if we imagine that the balloon is the space and his eyes are the galaxies. So I'm comparing your eyes as galaxies.
Oh.
Beautiful. And so this will be, if we are on this, if I am on his left eyes, his right eyes will be expanding. So this is the redshift. So this will be the expansion of the universe, because his eyes are the space and time on the balloon. So when we are going away, it will be the redshift. When we are going toward us, it will be the blue shift.
And the James Webb is going to be able to measure this.
Yes.
So
and
it's
it will be able, sorry, go ahead.
Right. No, I'm just saying, so by measuring this, is this going to be able to tell us about the rate of the expansion of the universe?
Exactly. And it will be able to measure farther and farther galaxies.
Well, I remember when I first saw that picture, I think it was the Hubble, and it was a picture, and it was just full of galaxies, little swirls and different shapes, and it was just probably the most awe-inspiring photograph you could ever want to see.
Well, Hubble did great things. Seriously, Hubble did deep images. Well, deep images, Hubble did wide fields and deep images. Deep images mean that we observe a lot of time, so we can collect more lights, so we can see in details, and wide fields. And Hubble also did something beautiful that helped Planck and others with the gravitational lens that confirms Einstein theory, that Einstein himself said that it is impossible to detect and to observe what I'm talking about, which is the gravitational lens, means that the gravity will curve the light, because with the do you want me to talk about, because this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I can speak 5 hours if you want, but I know that.
That's fine. wherever it goes.
Yeah. So actually what happened is that when you observe with the wide field, and if wide field composed with deep field, what happened is that astrophysicists observed like galaxies. If you look at them, you see that there are galaxies like they are curved, and number of galaxies. Do you see what I'm talking about? I hope that I prepared some images. So, you know, they are like curved, like half curve, half, and those are not numbered of galaxies that they are multiplied. Actually, what is happening that when you are observing and you are in the same line of sight, you are here, the observer, you have a very big, massive thing here, and you are looking at a target here. So the light that is passing through this big shit here will play like, sorry, you told me that I can swear.
Yeah, you can, yeah. Big shit. Do you mean a big galaxy or a supermassive black hole?
Exactly, or just a big star.
Oh, even a big star, right?
Yeah, because actually our sun helped Einstein to calculate the deviation of the light.
Wow. He was clever, that bloke, wasn't he? He was quite clever. Yeah.
Yeah. And he didn't believe, you know, his calculation were just, the results were just clever that he didn't trust them. Anyway, so, you know, this massive thing will play like a lens, you know, like, well, I have you know, glasses, but now I put lenses for the light. And so when the light will pass from this star, it will deviate them. They will just converge. So they will they will inflate virtually the light from the star. So this is why a galaxy away will look like it is inflated of the light. So a galaxy away will be like inflated like this. And we have the ring of Einstein. I would really suggest, I hope that if you want, we can talk about it later. And this is a method with which we can observe exoplanets, because we inflate the small light, the small ZZ, the small light of an exoplanet when it passes, because we exaggerate with a loop. You know what those, when I will become very, very old, like 120, I will need a loop, you know? So this is what will do a very massive, for the very massive mass or galaxy or star for the light. And those very, Hubble Space Telescope did this. So can you imagine what a 6.5 telescope, first time sent on the Lagrangian point, very far from air pollution, what will do?
So you mentioned the James Webb's going out, like, I can't remember the number you said, over 1 million miles away. Is that purely to get away from our star, from the sun, for light pollution?
It is. Well, it is really. It's far from the moon. It's far from our Earth, but it is really between the moon, the Earth, and the sun. So we are not that. We are not away from the sun.
Because it sounds a long way, 1.5 million miles.
It is a long way, actually. And why it is interesting to go there, because we have 5 points that are interesting around any planet. So it's L1, L2, Lagrangian, and he is a Lagrangian. He's a French scientist, mathematician. And at that point, the L2, well, I told you that it is like 3.5 or 4 times the distance Earth-Moon. And the distance Earth-Moon, it's 385 kilometers, okay? Or at a moyenne, medium, it's average is 400 kilometers.
Yeah.
So to remind our viewers, it is the Hubble Space Telescope, it was around 550 kilometers, okay? It oscillates a little bit, 500, 550. Why it's interesting to be at the L2 to be at the L2 because at those points of the Lagrangian point, it is made like this, that there are some points when we have an equilibrium between the centrifugal point and the gravitational point, centrifugal point and the gravitational point. So we don't need a lot of carburant, a lot of oil, a lot of petrol, a lot of forces, a lot of energy, if you want, to rotate and to stay in equilibrium. And you know that to go to space, the first key is the energy.
Yeah. Getting off the ground and out of the atmosphere.
Yes, and to stay in orbit.
Right. So it uses quite a lot of energy once it's in orbit, does it? Right.
Of course.
I thought it would just sort of be captured with gravity somehow. I didn't think they used a lot of energy once they were up there.
When you are, you need, when you are in the geostationary satellite and you are so close to the Earth, you need always to have a horizontal speed to always stay orbiting, because the moment that you lose this horizontal speed or parallel speed, you are attracted to the Earth and you just lose it.
Yeah,
This is what we call the what happened with the Chinese.
Oh yeah,
they did not blow up a satellite or something.
They didn't control it. This is uncontrolled,
okay.
and they just wanted and
it could hit New York.
Gravity.
Could hit New York.
No. Do you want me to talk about it? No, they took a very scientific risk. They won because they were just sending it up to the 41.5. Up to the equator and down to the equator. So they knew that 70% was covered by water. So they took the chance and they won it. And it cost a lot to control a satellite. So this is why.
I mean, one of the problems that I've heard about over recent years related to this subject is the subject of space junk. And there seems to be a lot of stuff, rather than having these sort of controlled descents. I don't know how satellites are decommissioned or whatnot, but it seems that we hear a lot about there being a lot of stuff up there, which is maybe out of service or it doesn't work anymore and it's cluttering the shop.
We have more than 30,000. More than 30,000 junk around there. Remind me to send you an image of the junks that you have around the Earth.
Right.
Yeah. But it was huge. This one is huge.
Yeah, this Chinese one. Yeah, it was massive.
Yeah. It was not the first time, and we have the space. The Changchong, I forgot its name, in 2018 that really came under and entered also but it was not this first time. I remember, I recall that Skylab also in the 70s, I was not born, but it entered also the atmosphere. It happens, but when it is done in programmation, because you cannot hide things. When you want to send a satellite and you want to be controlled, there is a device put on the head of the satellite to be controlled, and it is not present. So they cannot hide.
I seem to remember Mir, was it the Mir space station? Do you remember that from the 90s?
Yeah, the Russian one before the international one, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I think, didn't that one burn up in the atmosphere as well?
Yeah, because they had a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they had to evacuate it, didn't they?
Yes, exactly. They really had a problem, and it was not really on purpose. They didn't want to. They didn't want to evacuate the space to leave the space for the ISS, and they really evacuated.
Right. You mentioned exoplanets before, which I think is quite an exciting subject.
Oh yeah.
When we were young men.
Yeah.
I want to say that exoplanets. A long time ago. exoplanets were probably seen as maybe a rarity, that they might exist.
Well, that was their
Yes.
thinking, wasn't it? Yeah. I seem to remember the thinking was that, yeah, they may or may not exist.
And it wasn't, it's only sort of quite recently, I want to say maybe in the last 10 years, maybe even less than that, that we've had confirmation of the existence of exoplanets. And it seems from what we hear is that they're more common than not. And that it seems like the majority of stars seem to have some sort of exoplanet activity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought the other thing as well is that finding ones that are in, is it called the Goldilocks zone, where water can be sort of in liquid and solid state and all the rest of it, like it is here. That's another thing that sort of that they might have found, or you might have found a planet in that zone.
Well, let me tell you, it is not so new, but as everything, humanity has to accept change. And trust me, scientists are not that, what is the opposite of conservative?
Liberal.
Yeah, oh yeah. So they are so conservative. Scientists, trust me, really, really, believe me.
Yeah.
And it started with Giordano Bruno. Yeah. So you know about him?
Yeah. And Galileo as well.
Yes, but Galileo, he was not burned because Giordano Bruno was burned. Yeah. He was a priest, and he said that, I don't think if God created this earth, he is not that, you know, he is so generous. He cannot just create in this really big universe to just create one planet. And he said that because he was a priest, so they burned him, Giordano Bruno. But Galileo Galilei, what did he do? He was so smart. Galileo Galilei, what he did? He said that if you want me to say that we are just alone and the sun is rotating around the earth, okay, just give me my money. I will continue my research and I will tell you whatever you want me to say. And he published his very big book, and he asked for his assistant to publish it after he will die. Yep. And he said that, but it's turning after when he was in the court. So, and to continue this, it was in 1995 for the two French and from Belgium, they took the, when you know that things are turning, they studied they confirmed the detection of exoplanets in 1995. And they took last year, 2 years ago, sorry, the Nobel Prize for their detection. So it took like 20 years or so to confirm their work. What was the name? Sorry. Kellos, and I'm sorry, you can just write the names after, but they are really, and one of them who detected it, he was his student for the other, the more senior. And when he detected the signal, he sent it to his professor in Hawaii. And he said that, no, redo your stuff. It is not an exoplanet. They will mock us if you write it in a paper. And he said, sorry, but I did the observation 3 times. You cannot say this. And you know, now they waited for 20 years. And now the detection of an exoplanet is becoming, we have more than 5,000 exoplanets, more than 300 Earth-like planet.
And amazing,
and you are talking about habitable zone like. What is the habitable zone like? When we are talking about habitable zone like, first of all, let me tell you something. We are very limited as a human being, okay? Why? Because we know life as we know it. What is life? It's about sponge. I call it sponge. Means that the DNA, sulfur, phosphor, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, and what is carbon? Carbon, it's very important. Sponge, SPONCH, okay? So we are searching for a water-based life. So on Earth-like planet, solid. We cannot search as scientists of life in Jupiter, for example. Maybe it exists, but for the moment, we need to search for life as we know. I always give this example. If I will, I have money, coins, for example, and I lose my coins. I have light. So I put my light in this corner. They will tell me, are you sure that you lost your coins here? I tell them, no, but the light is here. So I will, this is what I know. This is what I search for. Yeah. And so the habitable zone is related to several things. One, the habitable zone in the galaxy. Because if we are in stars in a very perturbed arm, we cannot live. So if we are in a very explosive supernova, dying, yes, of course. You know that we are living in a local bubble that we have like minimum 3 supernovae. We are created from you and me. We are stars. I am the universe, and you, every single particle in you. We are the universe. And as I say, we are God, because God is the universe, and I'm God. Of course, don't laugh.
No, it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's an old. I remember Carl. I think it was Carl Sagan, was it? Who said it, or was it Miles? Not Miles Dyson. Dyson. What's it called?
Today.
No. Crikey, the American one with the mustache, and he did that TV series. Oh, American astrophysicist. She must know Cyrine. He's got a double barrel name.
Of course, because he. I
don't know.
It's gone.
Yeah, well, of course.
Oh, Bennett now.
Come on,
Anyway, we've digressed. Yeah. We're talking about exoplanets and the Goldilocks zone. So we need to be in a nice area of the galaxy to start with, where there isn't too many supernovas
and a nice star.
I hate to not know a name of a person that I like.
Are you Googling him?
Especially, yes.
Oh, here we go.
Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
That's him.
So not Dyson.
And you know that Robbie, I really, I had tears in my eyes because he calls me that I am the Arabic Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. What's the difference being compared to Brian Cox then? That was your fault, Phil.
Well, he's English. He's an Englishman. Brian Cox. That's why I said Brian Cox.
He seems like a man.
I tell you why. Because English people are so humble and they don't know how to sell themselves. I'm very serious in that.
No, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I am.
Have you heard of Boris Johnson?
He is a very
humble to a fault. Doesn't know how to sell himself.
He just got married, and
Yeah, I've got a theory on that, but that's for later. Why he got married?
Did he cut his hair recently, or
No, I think he had an accident with a lawnmower.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. So it's we always have to have the reason of voice,
Yeah. We've digressed again. What's the the Goldilocks zone?
The habitable zone, I think, is the preferred term.
So the habitable zone, we have the habitable zone of the galaxy. So we have to be in between arms, like we are, and we have to be in with a good distance of a star, because the elimination of the star is very important. It doesn't need to be like a star of ours. And second, we need to have for the moment, we think that we need to have rocky planets and good pressure and good atmosphere for the water to be present, to be sustainable.
This is something I wanted to ask then was,
Go ahead.
sort of the importance of the core of our Earth and the magnetic field and sort of the theory behind that protecting the atmosphere. And, I've kind of heard that, Mars potentially had an atmosphere and its core died and was kind of stripped away. So,
yes.
Is there a way to detect whether any of these exoplanets has a core at all, or is it just that it's in that zone and sort of the light rays that are coming back seem that it's got the right kind of elements present in the atmosphere?
Yes, if this podcast or this webinar was done like 10 years ago, I would have said, no, it's really very difficult. But we are really having an exponential way to detect and to characterize the exoplanets. So it's not just important to detect the exoplanets, it's very important to characterize the exoplanets. We can characterize the exoplanets if we measure the density of the atmosphere. We have the method of like the spectroscopy, and the spectroscopy, yes, it's like a DNA, it's like the passport. The spectroscopy is something really fantastic because we can not look with as visible, we can observe. Let me tell you, it's really fantastic, okay? So, okay, this is the sun, okay? This is not the sun, it is a star. And this is my cream, but let us say that it is the exoplanet. So when the exoplanet will pass in front of the star, okay? I am observing the exoplanet. If the exoplanet has an atmosphere, I will use the star to see what is the composition of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
By absorption or emission.
Okay.
So I will know if there is a C1, C2, water, and by the protection of the number of elements in the atmosphere, I will know if there is a magnetosphere, if there is a magnet, because for the moment, our exoplanets are so far away.
Yeah.
I cannot send a radar and to see if there is a magnet. It's not like our solar system, like Mars. Mars is like 8 months. It's just here. The moon is like 3 days.
Yeah.
I can just go for a week to the moon and I come back, just have a holiday. Let us just have our honeymoon at the moon, But the exoplanets are really so far away. We can measure indirectly the magnetosphere of the exoplanets.
Right.
But I am not saying that we just measure indirectly the presence, the detection of the exoplanets, because 10 years ago and until now, we developed new methods to detect directly the exoplanets. And this is really fantastic.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, so I remember when they first started being found, it was that technique, you showed with the glass. And I think people were looking for the star going dim. And when the star dimmed, that meant that there was a planet sort of blocking the light that we saw. But you're saying there are more sophisticated methods now, are there, of detecting them?
Oh, this is the transit method.
Transit. Yeah, so it transits in front of the star.
Oh, yeah. So the transit method, my dear, is a very effective method. And with Kepler, if you look at, man, I feel so guilty. I have to prepare, because if you see that from 2016, 17, the number of exoplanets detected and confirmed with Kepler by transit, you see that number is you know, ooh, like hundreds and hundreds. And Kepler, let me tell, do you want to know about the methods, several methods?
Yeah, the more sophisticated methods. You just hinted before that there was sort of better methods now for finding and characterizing these planets. So
okay. So exoplanets, now we believe, when I say believe, I'm not talking about religious belief, okay? Let me be clear. I don't have anything about religion, okay? But I believe in science. Let me tell you that, well, I will deviate a little bit, but physics is a very good predictive woman or man. Because when I tell you X is equal VT, I can predict, if I know your speed, I can predict for you in 1 million years where you will be. So I am really Madame Soleil and a very good psychic for you. So anyway, okay, so equations are very good psychic. Anyway, so we have several methods, the direct and the indirect. You talked about the transit, and if you allow me, I will explain the indirect. If you are, now that I think that your movie theater opened again, or not yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We too in Beirut. So if you are watching a very beautiful movie and you are so excited and you have a very, very, very bad guy or woman, they are shouting and they will pass in front of your screen. What you will tell them?
Sit down!
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is a transit because they will dim your light. Okay? So this is, and if they will do it in a periodic way, every 3 days, every 1 year, every, you know, then you will know that there is something. But it is not just that easy, because maybe it is a binary star. Because more than 20% of the stars are binaries. There is a ratio of mass, of densities, and we do that study. But when it is periodic, so there is something that is rotating, okay? So this is the transit. Second, so you have an elephant and you have a baby elephant. They are dancing together with their
Trunks.
Yeah, okay. So mommy elephant is heavier than baby elephant, but when they are rotating, you will see that mommy elephant will move a little bit. So the center of mass of both of them will move, and we will call this astrometry. They will not rotate in the, like as if mommy elephant is alone. Mommy elephant, the sun, will rotate like this.
Yeah.
So we know that mommy elephant has a companion, a baby. So when you observe that it is constant, so we know that the star has a planet. So it is called astrometry. And this is very, very difficult because the stars are very far, and we needed very complicated and very developed telescope to observe this tiny, tiny change. You know, we call them wobbling. And keep in your mind that the sun wobbles because of Jupiter. Even if the sun is 99.85% of the mass of the whole solar system, but Jupiter, because it's really our protector in the solar system, but it makes the sun wobble, means that so this is the sun. So if it was alone, it will rotate like this. But because of Jupiter, it rotates like that. Okay? So this is the astrometry. Now we have another indirect method. So imagine my head is a star. And every star emits light. Otherwise, we are not living, okay? And we don't have tan, there is no... Yeah, really? Okay. So, and the light is going like this, towards you on a frequency, and like that away from you. So, and this is very well noted as a constant frequency for every star. So when there is a companion, that light that is going towards you is shifted, and this one, because it's rotating, this is my head, okay, so it is really shifted. So when we see that there is a difference, because I'm rotating, so this is the radial velocity. So what does this mean? Means that there is another little body that is disturbing my star emission.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What they can come up with.
Wow.
It's amazing.
And that is our friend Einstein's gravitational lens.
Right,
So
which we talked
Einstein
about
said-
before with the light
Einstein
bending.
did the yes, Einstein calculated, and he said, guys, this would be fantastic, but it is 0 probability to have. In one line of sight, I am observing a star in the line of sight, in one fucking line, I, star, exoplanet, very far, and another thing that is enlightening me. And when this heavy thing will increase virtually with like a loop, and this would be fantastic. And he said this will never happen, never happen. And we have more than hundreds discovered like this.
Wow. You said you said they found 5,000 so far.
For
I mean,
so far. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's going to be, well, billions and billions and billions. Are these 5,000 sort of in our little corner of the galaxy? And where are the nearest ones? How far are the nearest ones away?
You read my mind. And I was telling you, I wanted to tell you that, my friend, everything that we observed are in the line of sight, not just in line of sight, in a small corner. Imagine that, and those are not all the data treated with Kepler and Coro and other and Hubble. Imagine that the galaxy is a saloon of 20 meters square. Everything that we observed is like in a small, 2 centimeters, no, 1 centimeter.
Wow.
And those are not all the data. And we had, I don't want to say the bêtises, like we have like 3 light years, 10 light years, 14 light years. We cannot go for the moment.
But that's close. 10 light years, that's close, relatively speaking, to us, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the nearest star? Is it it's not Alpha Centauri, is it?
3.4.
3.4. So we've got exoplanets essentially on our doorstep, no?
No, sorry, the closest star is 3.4, but I don't know why it's so close. How it is so close, we cannot travel at the speed of light.
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean by that? Why is it so close?
It is not so close because what is 3.4 light years? Okay, means that if you and me, and can you remind me your name?
Matt.
Not Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you. So if Ben and Phil and Matt and Cyrine, we go. And we did something that we can travel with the speed of light, which is impossible. I will tell you why. Because E is equal mc squared, and I will tell you why. And we need 3.4 years to arrive to the first star. Yeah. So it's so close. Can you be sit to shit in your pants?
No.
Yeah,
think Phil was saying, relatively speaking, like in the grand scale, if you take the scale of the entire universe, 3.4 light years to Alpha Centauri is relatively close.
Yes. But I am scientist and I don't speak like this. I speak practically. This is why we need...
You raised an important question, though, by saying that it isn't close. It almost makes you think, well, what's the point then? Why are we even bothering looking at these things? They're so far away that they're sort of irrelevant to us.
This is 1 second because it's really hot here in Beirut. What? Yeah, it's too hot. Okay, so actually, it is a very important question because when I studied astrophysics and when I do my research and I travel, everyone is asking me why you do this and half of the population is dying. And I tell them, no, because everything what we are developing, you know how you are having, you know why we are having those conversations on internet? You know what is the VLAN? It was developed for astrophysics. You know what is the fiber optics? It was developed for astrophysics. You know how we clean water? You know what are the solar panels? Everything that we developed for astrophysics, it was then used after for us.
Yeah.
And astrophysics is not just to travel and to stars observations. No, seriously. And then the human being, what is the difference? I love animals. I have 2 dogs, 3 cats. It's not like this. But everything that we develop is for the human being. The difference between animals and the human being is consciousness. And from the creation, when we had consciousness, after we can talk if it's God, if it is the Anunnaki or other or whatever. But since we have this consciousness, we started to think what there is after. Since we looked at this moon, we thought that the first thing, I don't know if you know about this French guy, Georges Méliès, who did a movie Going to the Moon. There's a very well-known image about the moon, and there is a shuttle in the eye of the moon. It's the first one. He's the 1906.
Yeah.
So he did So since we thought about this thing, that where are we from? And for example, Christopher Columbus, he threatened the Queen of Portugal. He wanted to see what is going on. The Phoenicians built from the cedars, the wood. We wanted to understand always. Otherwise, what is the difference between the consciousness existence, animals, and the unconscious existence? We are animal, we are conscious animals, and we are sociable animals. So this is why we need people who look at the sky, we need people who look at the earth, and we need people who are medicine, doctors, sociologists, psychiatrists, and everyone. So this is why we study that. And imagine that there is one creepy, crazy politician, and he will put on this nuclear thing. Imagine that. Seriously, I'm not talking politics. I'm really talking. Imagine that we didn't. Our aim is not just to colonize. I don't love to use this. Our aim is to discover.
Yeah.
Not to colonize. So to answer you, Ben, what is the use? The use is to understand that we are so small in the universe and to discover another way to travel, because we know that with our methods, we are not going so far.
Yeah, because the distances are so far that our usual methods of propulsion are just never going to cut it. So that is going to give us the impetus to develop something new, think out of the box, start punching wormholes through the space-time continuum.
Well, you know,
no?
Let me tell you, we know we use very well electricity. We don't understand very well magnetism.
Oh, right.
We are just trying to understand magnetism. We don't understand it very well. If we understand it very well, you would have seen my hologram now within your office.
Yes. Good point.
So, we don't understand very well gravity. If we understand very well gravity, we would have created anti-gravity. And I'm very responsible of what I'm saying.
Yeah. This is like Bob Lazar territory, isn't it?
It is Bob Lazar territory.
It is, yeah.
Yes, but the problem is when I speak science, I am directly put, if I am not in the mainstream science, I am directly put in the crazy conspiracy theory. Seriously.
Yeah, but it's going back to Bruno. They would have said the same thing about Giordani Bruno.
Absolutely. Listen, I want to tell you something. Thank you for reminding me, because I put it in a note, and I put a pinkish, not because I am a woman, but because this is the only color I have it here.
It's okay.
Thank you. In the 46, 45, you remember when the Roswell things came and people were really telling that they were really seeing UFOs? And they were telling them like for 50 years they were crazy.
Yeah.
Now they are calling it
UAPs.
Identifying Aryan phenomena.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe in 50 years they will talk about and understand some abductees.
I think there's been some quite convincing people recently, hasn't there? I always forget his name. You're better remembering the
Fravor?
Commander Fravor in the US Navy.
But he has like 2 charges, like I don't know what, and he was like, no.
Right.
No.
Yeah, there has been. I mean, we're waiting, aren't we? There is supposedly going to be some sort of disclosure coming in the next couple of months, but
don't expect much. I did. I did a Lebanese TV, and I told them that they were expecting a lot. I was surprised that after this TV show, I was contacted to tell me I had a lot of messages to tell me that they really saw UFOs in Lebanon and Beirut. They called the police. Oh, you drank a lot. You were hallucinating. You're under. You don't have money or something. You are praying a lot or something like that.
Wow.
And so I don't think that they will say a lot. And this is what I really don't expect a lot. Yeah.
No. Well, Cyrine, we've blown through an hour already.
Have we?
Really?
Yeah, we've gone over an hour
like
and 10
20
minutes.
Just means it feels like we just started.
I know. We're gonna have to. We didn't even. I'm gonna have to ask you one last question.
Yeah, look.
We can have another one, like in a month if you want, or in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. My 5-year-old son asked me to ask you a question while we had you here, and he wants to know where the moon came from.
Okay. Well, the moon came from at the beginning. Any star will form from a nebula. Okay. Well, we have a cloud, a very dense cloud like this. Let me show you. So here you have a cloud, very dense cloud. It will collapse under the gravity. And when it is collapsing, to conserve the inertia in the universe, nothing is lost. It will start to rotate. It will be like a pancake. So at a center, the gravity is so dense. Then we trigger the nuclear power. Then the sun is, we call it a protosun, yes. Before at the protosun, then we have we start to have small pieces of the planetesimal. Then we have the Earth. The Earth is like plasma, it is forming big. And then we had Thea. Thea, who is Thea? Thea. So if you have friends that you have Thea, so you tell her thank you because you formed the moon. And there is another planetesimal called Thea hit the Earth. It's cut the Earth. The Earth was like plasma, hot, like a plasma turning, and it cut the Earth. And then a small piece went out. Thea was into pieces, no more Thea. And something that is near us, it was so quick at the beginning, then it was so small, it cannot be a planet. It started to be our moon. It was so quick, then it started to be so small, and we just see now, we are synchronized, we are tidal, and we just see one face of the moon.
So it got trapped in Earth's gravity. Instead of going out and being its own planet on its own orbit, it got captured by the Earth.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Exactly. And the moon is very interesting because it has He3, and this is why the moon and Mars are so interesting.
What's He3?
Oh, helium-3, and it can be a very interesting source, more important than nuclear.
Oh,
we will talk about it if you want.
Yeah, we'll
next time.
Yeah, we'll save that for next time.
Yeah,
right. We'll wrap up for there.
Yeah,
for that. Thanks for coming, Cyrine. It's been wonderful. I'm sure we've learned a lot.
Yeah,
just
thank you.
Stay on the line for us for 2 minutes while we play ourselves out. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Dr. Cyrine Nehme. They can find me on YouTube, Dr. Cyrine Nehme Astro Channel. They can find me on Twitter, Dr. Cyrine Nehme, and they can find me on Instagram, Dr. Cyrine Nehme.
Right. Well, I'll put all the links in the description if you want to check out Dr. Cyrine's work, which we'd highly recommend. And stay on the line for us. We'll be back in a flash. Don't touch that dial.
Sorry, and LinkedIn. And can I say thank you for Robbie?
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Big up Robbie Robertson.
Yeah.
Right. Catch you on the flip side.